How's it going, everyone? My name is Clink, and welcome back to Demon Souls. So, last time we went through the tutorial and entered the world of Boletaria. Today we'll do the Gates of Boletaria. So, this is going to be our first major level of the game, but this is also still really your tutorial. Man, I probably should have had some water before I hit record, but... So... there's a few oddities about this level. You can't level up still, so you have to do this level at whatever level you start at. You can technically upgrade your weapon once if you defeated the Vanguard Demon like we did last time, and you have to be in soul form. So when you die in your human form, which is what we were in the tutorial, you will then be sent into soul form. In soul form, you don't really make noise when you walk. I think you might in the remake, but that's it's harder to be alerted by enemies in soul form, I think. I might be wrong on that one. You have half your health bar, which is pretty punishing, but you can actually alleviate that pretty quick. And then the way I actually kind of look at it in Demon Souls is, and the way I recommend trying to play the game is play almost all of it in soul form, because we'll talk about world tendency more probably next time. But it's a thing in this game that's a somewhat controversial mechanic and can kind of make the game easier or harder. And it gets harder when you die in human form. It's not like it throws you a bone and helps you out. It rewards you by making the game easier for playing well and punishes you for playing poorly by making it harder. But where was I going with that? All right, you'll want to play most of the game in soul form, because in soul form you can kind of avoid world tendency altogether. So it's kind of just the better way to play the game for the most part. Okay, let's not die to these little dreglings. I am gonna try to talk about lore a decent bit throughout this series. It's something I won't really talk about in probably most Souls Let's Plays I do, but it is one I will talk about in this one, as I do know a decent bit of lore about Demon Souls. I'm a little rusty on some of it. If you want all of it, go watch Vadi or any other lore video on YouTube, really. But the little dreglings here are actually slaves that are being forced to fight for King Allant. We heard about King Allant in the intro, and he kind of started this whole mess, put the kingdom of Boletaria into ruins, and I like to try to get these guys to fall down this pit. That one doesn't want to seem to cooperate. But we'll take out this soldier. So mostly you'll find dreglings and soldiers here. A couple of blue-eyed knights will also be around in this level, much like we saw in the journey to the Nexus. There's a guy right here. Yeah, it's mostly just kind of wander around, pick up items, and take out any enemies along the way. Most Souls games, and especially some of these earlier ones, reward you for playing cautiously. Take the game slow and you'll be rewarded for it. And the game will punish you for trying to rush headfirst into things. Like right there, I managed to aggro only one of the two soldiers, so we don't have to take them on. And up to this point, there are going to be some of the tougher enemies you find in the level. They're shielded, there's two of them. It's meant to kind of get used to group encounters. But if you play your cards right, you can only draw out one, and that's something else that the game really tries to teach you. You just have to pick up on it. The Souls games are very much a teach by doing. They will put something in front of you and expect you to figure it out. It's not gonna just directly tell you that. And it's something I actually really like about the Souls games. Something I can respect a lot about them, and I really like the style that they went for with that. And let's not get hit by this guy. You want to be kind of careful. There's another guy behind me that'll throw fire bombs. So the fire bombs are really the deadliest part here, because they can hit some of these barrels around us, and they can also do that, which is not fun. So the main thing about healing in this game, by the way, with the consumable grass is exactly that. It's consumable. Once you use a grass, you do not get it back. So if you run out of grasses, you will need to farm more. So don't put your grasses on too much. And there's multiple tiers to the grass system, so the crescent will only heal a little bit, half will heal more, and then there's there's one between half and full. I know. I'm trying to remember what it is. It's not waning, I don't think. Oh, late moon grass, that's what it is. The way grass drops is something that'll be really interesting. So another thing I really like about Souls games is items, while some are a random like drop chance from enemies, a lot of items you find lying on the ground are actually very intentionally there. And that even boils down to the grasses you find. By the way, the bastard sword here, great sword, pretty decent. I would recommend using it. I've done a decent chunk of the game with it before. Just had to avoid that boulder to get to it, but the items are all very intentional, and we'll talk about that a lot as we go to other areas, because one of the things that makes Demon Souls pretty unique in comparison to the other Souls games still to this day is the 5 worlds are all very, very distinct, and each of them have different reasons to go to them. Some of them will get you more magic items, some of them will get you more upgrade materials, others are just better for different builds. It's really cool, it's really interesting, and I really like it. We're going to want to go this way. This is actually going to be your first shortcut, and it's also going to allow us to get the cling ring, which is probably the most important item in the entire level to go pick up. I mean, the shortcut is probably one of the most important things in the entire level to do, so that if you die, you don't have to redo what we just did, and instead you just have to scale this tower again. That is a thing that the Souls games are pretty good at. And then some of the later ones, in some ways, will go away from that, but just knock these chains down. And these chains are actually gonna be really interesting. We'll talk about them once we get down to the bottom here. Let's take off this one. So right here is where you want to be a little careful. If we actually take a stop for a second and put on the fire bombs, you should have picked up quite a few by now. We can actually take aim, fire, and blow them up. And that got rid of 2 of them. I want to aggro only 1 if I can. He's gonna do a jump attack. Ooh, wow, that could have been really bad. Their combo there is kind of nasty. And the thing is, you can see they have fire on their weapons. So the shield I started out with here is the crush shield, I think, right? Kite shield. It will block all physical damage, but it will not block elemental damage, or all of it at least. It has a certain stat on that. In this case, it'll block 70% of fire damage. So they can still do a little bit of chip damage to me through my shield. Yeah, pull this lever, and this is the cling ring right here. Equipping this will make it to where you still have 75% of your health when in soul form, so you can see our health bar is a little bit bigger now. And takes up one of your ring slots, so really you only have 1. These 2 corpses right here, that's the old ragged set. This is Thomas's wife. This is Thomas's daughter. Kind of hard to tell, because they look about the same size, and you would think the daughter's pretty young. But this jade hair ornament actually belongs to Thomas's daughter, and we can see that later on. And now that we have that shortcut opened, we can head back up and continue the level, which is gonna be pretty cool. I really like the Gates of Boletaria. I think they're a great first level. They're one of the larger levels in the game too. It's pretty meaty actually. I am gonna drop down right here real quick. There's an item down here if you want to pick it up. It's a crossbow. And there is one of the soldiers that was throwing fire bombs at us before. I think this is the one that actually hit me when we were going through here. You do want to be a little careful dropping down, as you can die if you fall all the way down there. But no enemies will stand in my way here, so we can just kind of run past and back up. A lot of it loops right back on itself really well, so it never takes too terribly long to get around any specific level in the game. And did I really just not pick this up earlier? 2 half moon grasses is going to be quite helpful in these early parts of the game, so definitely want to get that. Then we can go through here to actually progress. So there's a few different paths that we can take here. I'm going to stay up here for a moment. We'll drop down here pretty soon to help an NPC out. And get another one of the better rings in the game, honestly. Let's go ahead and use a running attack there. I didn't really talk about those last time, but you do have running attacks, and they can be pretty good, pretty helpful. So we'll draw this guy out. Don't go too far, because there's another one on the left there. And I think this is the first one we're seeing with a halberd. So he has a bit more reach, can do a bit more hurt to you if you're in a tight corridor, but take it slow, be patient, and all will be fine. So over here, we can actually find our first merchant of the game. This is the Dregling merchant, and he'll actually tell you a bit about the Dreglings.
Care to look over my wares? Mostly stolen, but who's telling, eh? Brave knight or lowly fodder? The demons snatched their souls regardless of their station, plummeting them all into madness. And those who dare cling to their humanity were hunted down. It is the end of Great Boletaria as we know it. But hell, at least the demons don't send us to our deaths in battle. There's this skinny fellow, clad in the most lavish armor, who's always mumbling about some mission. He's another one who's managed to stay sane, like yourself. Probably some pampered little lordling by the looks of his attire. I'd give an arm just for the buttons off his shirt. It is the end of good hell.
Okay, so that's all he has to say. He had a couple nice things from him, a couple weapons, shields, the plate armor, and extra healing if you need it. It's pretty cheap, but we also don't really get many souls right now. So he kind of talks about the Dreglings and what they are. They are soul-starved, and I think this is a good time to talk about what demons are and what souls are in this world. So, you know, the souls are absorbed and upon killing stuff. And if you are deprived of souls, you lose your humanity. It's much like hollowing in the Dark Souls games. I need to be a little careful fighting these three. There we go. Ooh, wow. That's what happens when you start to get a little greedy. But we'll actually end up looping back to this here in a minute. Keep that in mind. But then, if you go too far, if you absorb too many souls, you become a demon. Demons in this game aren't really, you know, like the demon you and I would think of when we hear the word. They are more beings that have accrued a lot of souls, and you gotta hit circle on this. That's right. You can drop down here. It doesn't look like you can, but you can pick up the thief ring. Very good ring. Makes it to where you're harder to detect, and it can really help you in some cases.
That was a bold leap. A surprise indeed. Well, now that you are here, pray thee, fend off these Dreglings.
This is the lavish guy that the Dregling merchant was telling us about a moment ago. This is a Strava. He's actually a pretty friendly NPC, and one we're going to be encountering quite a few times throughout the game. I'm going to think this will fit them both. Yeah. Trying to be pretty good about my firebomb usage. Charging in headfirst against all these guys can be a bad idea. It can work, but if you get backed up too far, you'll actually aggro some other enemies. And a Strava here will drop down once you've done that.
My thanks for your brave rescue. I am Ostrava of Boletaria. Accept this as a token of my gratitude.
Yeah, that'll get us the telescope. So the thing about demons and them being, you know, just beings that have accrued a lot of souls is that that means you will be a demon. That's the greatest irony of demon souls. And, okay, you gotta be kind of careful. You don't want to end up killing a Strava here. He won't attack you if you only hit him a couple times, but he does have a health bar. You do want to be careful about it. If he dies, he is dead. He is not going to come back. Let's go ahead and try to sneak up on this blue-eyed knight here. Okay, that didn't work out, but I'm just going ahead and take out most of his health bar like that. Ostrava can kind of take some of the aggro for us as well, but He's not gonna be too much of a challenge. He has a great sword though, a little different than the ones with normal trait swords that we've been seeing up to this point. And I don't think there's anything in here. Yeah, just had to double check because we're gonna go over to the side here, and you can see Ostrava's doing some work on some enemies over here himself. He's got that really, you know, rich-looking sword and shield. I was about to say shield and sword, but that just doesn't feel right. And this is some grass, right? Oh no, hero soul. So the souls like that, they're actually really interesting. So, they're consumable souls that will get you souls, but like their in-game explanation, I guess, would be they're kind of the souls that other people have accrued, and they're other warriors that have gone on this journey and died and failed. So the ones that have more souls are that'll net you like the larger consumable souls. Those are the ones that made it further into their journey, but then they perished eventually. And that's kind of the same reasoning in just about all of them, I do believe. All the different Souls games, all the way through Elden Ring. I actually don't remember in Elden Ring. I'm not too familiar with that game's lore, but that's not the game we're playing today. So, going ahead and pick up these items. Oh, the reflection of the water there kind of looked like it could be something.
Now I take my leave.
Ostrava doesn't really have anything else to do in this level. We'll see him again later on. He really only appears in this world. Each world of Demon Souls is pretty self-contained. They don't really interact with each other too much. In the lore, they definitely do have their ties to each other, but from a gameplay perspective, what you see in each world is really what you get there and only there. They're really distinct. I really like that about this game, honestly. I think it's pretty good. Can use a thrust to kind of bypass his combo there. Is he gonna do a jump attack? They pretty much always follow up the jump attack with their wild swinging combo. Oh, hello. Almost forgot about you. Now we're getting shot at from an archer up there. But yeah, this loops right back around to here earlier. This is where we fought those 3 guys that almost killed me and they dropped down from above. I should have been smarter about that. Almost forgot about you too. Well, not almost, I did. I entirely forgot about him. So we can take this guy out who's been bothering us and just get some more grass. And right here is another blue-eyed knight. This one, I don't recommend trying to parry just because we're on the staircase, but if you time your swing right, you can kind of stop him from his swing and then just get in there and mess him up. Enemies in this game don't really have a poise stat, so hitting anything with just about any weapon will stun them. That's why dexterity weapons are actually really good in this game, while they might not be in some other Souls games, just because even like a strength weapon, you can keep enemies stunned until you kill them. It's why I do like dexterity weapons in this game, but the strength weapons in this game can still 1 or 2 shot just about any normal enemy that's not a boss, and even then they do a ton of damage to some of the bosses, so we're getting pretty close to the end of the level here, but if you take a left here, there's a path with 2 dragons. I will be dealing with that at a later date. Do not fret. I'm actually going to... Ooh, boy. I'm gonna have to be careful here. There's 2 spear guys here, so this is probably the toughest encounter of the entire level up to this point. This is a good time to get some hits off on them. There we go. Put my shield back up, not take too much damage. Yeah, the 2 dragons off to the left here can really mess you up, but there's a way to actually get rid of them and kill at least one of them fairly early on. And that fairly early on is actually going to be fairly late. Not late, more like mid-game for me on this playthrough. So approaching this bridge, we're going to be a little careful here. I'm probably going to aggro at least one of these melee guys. Once you hear those screams, that's what we want. You want this dragon to show up. I want to keep these guys around here, and then once he starts moving, run away. Hide behind here. I think these guys are going to manage to escape. Yeah. And and he'll pretty much fry the whole bridge. So we're gonna have to run away from him. If you sit back here for long enough, he'll eventually go away. This same dragon is over there, so he pretty much just moves back over to that location. With how well most of the world is constructed in these games, the dragons in Demon Souls are a bit of a, yeah, kind of whatever thing. They don't really do too much. They're more obstacles than living creatures. Because surprisingly, I think the enemies in this game actually do a really good job of feeling like they aren't just plopped down as much. I mean, they kind of are, but like all the enemies are specifically designed to be in the areas they're in. And, you know, all the enemies here are soldiers and the slaves and whatnot. And we'll see in some of the other worlds what the enemies are like. Because I'm actually going to do instead of doing the second level of this world in the next part, I'm actually going to do the first level of the second world. Because that's going to get me the weapon that I'm going to use for the first half of the run, probably. But yeah, pulling this lever will open the main gate in the center. This is going to be the boss of the level. So, we're nearing the end. There's just another shortcut we can go get. Careful here. There's a guy right here. We're going to take him out first. Then we'll take out this guy. And now we can pick up this item, which I think is some pine resins. Yeah. The pine resin, also called the turpentine in the original game, will light your weapon on fire and give it extra damage, and is really good for anything that is weak to fire. Do not be afraid to use elemental damage in Souls games. It can be very, very beneficial. So, one thing, so I've been playing these games for about 6 years now, and one thing that took me way too long to learn is, honestly, the most effective build is if you just specialize in one thing. I mean, it makes sense, obviously. But like, don't really do like a quality build if you can help it, which is leveling both strength and dexterity. They can be pretty good. And wow, these guys are giving me a lot more trouble than they normally do. Okay, this is a good chance to just mow them down. Just going one or the other and just leveling it up really high will almost always be a better alternative. You can just get such high damage values out of it, and then maybe leveling up one of your magic stats a little to use some spells. Those can go a really long way, honestly. Man, okay, yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to get some water after I finish this part. Go ahead and take out these fire stick dreglings. Just want to be careful of that hoplite over there on the left. He'll throw javelins at you. Hit you in the back when you least expect it. So they don't really take much damage from the front, but if you can kind of get behind them, they actually die really quickly. And hey, there's some sharpstone shards. Sharpstone and hardstone are your main weapon upgrade types if you don't want to go down a specific path. Just depends on the weapon whether it'll be sharp or hard. But they essentially fulfill the same role. I think most weapons are the sharpstone path. Okay, how did you hit that? Man, jeez. Okay, so finally at the end of the level, this will be a shortcut to get back to the dragons. We're gonna need it later, much later in the game. But going ahead, consume a healing grass. I highly recommend putting on both your fire bombs here and a pine resin, as fire is really effective for our first boss here, which is the phalanx. It's really just a big swarm of hoplites that are guarding a centerpiece. Throwing some fire bombs at them will take out quite a large cluster pretty quickly. So just don't be afraid to burn through all your fire bombs. I'm not really going to use any more throughout the game, but if you really like the fire bombs, then don't be afraid to use them still. You can buy some more from the Dregling Merchant at any time you wish. And I'm going to go on ahead and heal back up. And let's get some fire going. Light it up. Because if we just start hammering away here, you want to be kind of careful, as the hoplites can start to really pile the damage on with their javelins on you if you're not careful. Like I said, slow and steady. Always play slow and steady and you'll be fine. So let's go ahead and back away here. Go ahead and use a half moon grass. Once you take out all the hoplites, the centerpiece is actually just a sitting duck. It can't do anything. So if you take every one of them out before this big blob in the middle, you know, you've essentially already won. Which I think I am going to take out just about all of them. I don't think there's any other just wandering around. There we go. Once you kill the middle one, all the other hoplites will die. And there you go. Demon vanquished. Upon defeating a boss, you will regain your human form. You'll also get a lot of souls. And then touching the Archstone. These are this game's bonfires, but they actually only occur when you defeat a boss. There's not really checkpoints otherwise. You'll get that boss's soul. Then we can head back over to the Nexus. I am going to make this part a little bit longer today than I plan to make most other parts, just because there's a lot to get done today. Actually,
welcome back.
Yeah, no, I don't really want to make that its own part, I think, so I will.
The monumental awaits the above.
You know what? No, I will actually end the part after this ends. The next part's mostly going to be exposition and exploring the Nexus. I'm not even going to do a full level. So if that doesn't really interest you too much, I would recommend skipping over it. But, so in 2 videos, I'll be resuming like the main game, but I do want to kind of show a lot of the exposition and stuff throughout this game. So I'm going to end this video here, and I will see you guys next time, where we'll do a little bit of preparation before continuing the main journey. So I'll see you guys then. Bye-bye.